EA flew me all the way across the Atlantic to Los Angeles to get some hands-on time with Skid. I got to capture my own gameplay, which you guys are going to be watching today. I got to play the game at the EA offices in Marina del Rey with the devs present, and I got a bunch of valuable time with the developers of Skid, and it was honestly an unforgettable experience. So big thank you to EA for that amazing trip. This video isn't sponsored by EA, so you are getting my full honest opinions. You would anyway if it was sponsored, and I'm really going to be focused on the main elements that I enjoy in this game and the kind of gameplay that I'm going for myself. So for context, the gameplay that I captured is entirely focused on realistic skating. That's my thing. That's what I do in this channel. We play skate sims, so we love ultra realistic skating. I don't do any over the top stuff. I didn't play any of the challenges. I didn't really do any social stuff. I didn't do any object dropper stuff. I just skated. So if you're a realistic player and you want to see how realistic you can get, stick around because that's exactly what we are focusing on in today's video. So let's just start off with my general thoughts on the overall gameplay and how it actually feels. If you like the previous 3 games, you are going to feel right at home here. This is a skate game. It feels like a skate game, but it also feels like 10 times better than the first 3 games. They have really mastered the feeling of skating in this game. And the skating is the main thing I care about, right? That's the main thing I'm focused on. Everything else to me is secondary. The actual feel and gameplay of the skating is the thing that I want to be good, and I can 100% confidently say that the skating feels awesome. They have nailed this aspect of the game. Something that feels like quite a minimal feature, but something that I think is actually really important, is the haptic feedback you get while skating. So they have vibration enabled. I play with an Xbox controller. The devs were saying that if you play with a PlayStation DualSense controller, it's even better. The controller vibrates as you're grinding. It vibrates when you land. I think even when you go over drains and manholes, you also get a little vibration as well. And it just adds so much to the immersion of the skating, because I think it's really important to have that sort of tactile feedback in a skateboarding game, so I'm really glad to see that here. Let's talk about controls, because being in the skate sim community, and that's my main thing, I know a lot of people coming from Session and Skater XL, they wanted Skid to take on the dual stick control system, so one stick for your front foot, the other stick for your back foot, triggers to turn. And initially I wanted this too. I was really hoping to see this, but I'm actually so glad that they stuck with the classic Skate flick it controls, because this is what makes Skate Skate. This is what sets Skate apart from other skateboarding games. So if you've played the other previous skate games, as soon as you get hands-on with Skate, you will feel super comfortable, pretty much the exact same it's always been, but they've somehow improved it so much and made it so much more responsive and just so much smoother. I mean, they managed to add so many new tricks and so many new mechanics onto the same controls without confusing things or overcomplicating things. The controls just work, and they kind of always have worked. So there's a bunch of stuff to talk about here. I'm going to try and cover as much of it as I can and keep everything pretty precise. Slappies. This is my favorite trick to do in real life, and it feels like an obvious inclusion for a modern skateboarding game because slappies are so trendy at the minute. So they're implemented really well. They're super easy to do. Literally all you have to do is just turn into a curb or a low ledge or even a low rail it works on. You'll automatically enter a slappy 50-50, but you could also tweak just as you're entering, so you can enter into a slappy 5-0 or slappy nose grind or a slappy crook. At the minute, getting into them can be kind of janky at times. Some spots they don't really work and you glitch out and you bail. Other times you kind of pop above it and land on the ledge, but I would say 98% of the time slappies work pretty flawlessly. Next up is another real life favorite of mine, and that is wallies. A very trendy trick at the minute, so it makes sense that wallies are in Skate. To do this in Skate, it's super easy. You just kind of delay your ollies, so instead of ollieing a little bit earlier to get up a ledge or over a ledge, then you just kind of delay it until you're closer, and then you do an ollie input and your skater will just automatically wally over or up, whatever it is you're trying to get up or over. I'd say 99% of the time these work great. I haven't had too many problems with them. They seem to just work. You can do wally 180s. You can also do wally to grind. They are quite tricky, but when you do get them, I think they look sick. And now, sticking with tricks that I love to do in real life, we have proper 180 and 360 no complies. So these are kind of tricky to get, yet, but once you do figure out the input, you can get that pretty consistently. You tap A and do an ollie input like immediately after tapping A. So yeah, default is like a frontside 180 no comply, and then if you continue to turn in the air, you'll do a frontside 360 no comply. If you kind of point the analog stick more inward backside and turn backside, you'll do a backside 180 no comply. You could do a backside 360 no comply. The animations look amazing. Can still do straight no complies without a rotation. They're not like their own trick, but if you just kind of fight the rotation, you can get like just a straight regular no comply, and they look pretty cool. My only real issue with no complies right now is that sometimes you get crazy pop, but the rest of the time no complies work really well. Okay, so I'm going to try and do a bit of a speed run here because these are smaller mechanics that have been added that I'm a big fan of. Bumping out of grinds, you can actually choose your direction, so you can bump out to the left, bump out to the right. This is great because you don't have to pop out of a grind. You can do a more realistic little kind of nudging yourself out of the grind. Pre-winding rotations, this seems like an obvious addition. I'm so glad that this is here. If you crouch as you're preparing for an ollie and you use the left analog stick, kind of do like a half circle to the left or to the right, your character will pre-wind their shoulders, and then if you release it, you will get a nice fast rotation. This is perfect for flat grind 360s because the unwinded rotation is pretty slow. Quick ollies and quick nollies. Instead of doing an ollie, a normal ollie input, if you just kind of like literally just quickly slide down and release, you'll do a quick ollie. This is just a really snappy low ollie, and it also works with nollies. This is perfect for doing like a really realistic kind of quick pop up a curb. I like to do it over like manholes and little drains and stuff. Boning ollies, now this is one that I'm so glad to see, and it's kind of like an obvious feature. So you can now bone ollies, and this is great for getting over certain gaps. It just adds extra steez. At the minute, I think you can only do it with ollies and maybe nollies, but I haven't tried nollies. And finally, flip speed. This one you've probably seen already because it's been advertised a lot in all the official gameplay. You can now control the flip speed. You can do a nice slow steezy kickflip, or you can do a really fast kickflip. And this last thing, it's just a really good quality of life feature that I have used so many times. So by default, you hold up on the D-pad to set a session marker, and then you tap up on the D-pad to teleport back to that session marker. Sometimes you might accidentally tap it and you end up back at a session marker at the complete other end of the map. But they added a feature, if you just tap up on the D-pad again right away after you've just teleported, the game will then teleport you back to where you just were. So if you accidentally teleport to a session marker you didn't mean to, just tap up again on the D-pad straight away, and then you'll go straight back to where you were. This is such a good quality of life feature, and it saves so many headaches. So I love that they implemented this. Okay, so I'm only going to touch on this briefly because I don't skate a lot of transition, and I definitely don't use the parkour mechanics much, but I figured I need to mention them anyway. Transition skating feels fine. I think that lip tricks work pretty well. They get a bit weird when you try and bump out of them, again, because the bump out animation at the minute's a bit janky. I've noticed when you try and bump out of a lip trick into transition, it can bug out a lot and it just looks pretty rough. But getting into the lip tricks and stuff is pretty nice. It's pretty smooth. Grabs are cool. They work just like they worked in the previous games. Can't really complain. The parkour aspect is a feature that I sparingly use. I only ever use it to just get to other spots. It's great for when you're trying to just climb over a wall, you know, climb up to a slightly higher area. If you want to, you can scale skyscrapers, but I don't do that personally. I'm not really interested in that. I just like to use it to just access a spot a little bit quicker. The parkour doesn't take anything away from the skating, and if you want to, you can completely avoid the parkour aspect of the game. You don't have to do it, but it just adds to the kind of mobility, and it adds an extra layer to getting about the city. Like I said at the start, I wanted to focus primarily on the things that I like from a realistic point of view as a realistic skater. That's what my channel is about. Now, really, it's time to hand it over to you guys. What do you think of Skate? What is your opinions? What do you think of the realistic gameplay that I've been showcasing today? I think I hit some pretty nice lines and some pretty nice tricks. But one last time, I will say thanks to EA for sending me out to LA to actually play this. It was super awesome to meet the devs. I do have a full vlog storytime video coming up talking about my entire trip to LA because I met a lot of very, very cool people. So stay tuned for that. And of course, there is plenty more skate footage. I recorded a lot of footage, so plenty more to come, plenty more skate videos to come. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. As always, thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.